Welcome to everyone who is watching live and to those who are watching in the days to come. I'm Bethia. I look after marketing here at LeftBrain and will be hosting today's webinar, which is all about how to make internal technology your strategic advantage with Notion. A few introductions. We've got David Karlström, who is the channel partner lead for Notion in EMEA. From LeftBrain, we have Charlie Naughton-Rumbo, who's our CISO, and he's going to be guiding the discussion today. We have Avins, our CTO, Dustin Rhodes, who looks after business development, and Jansen, who's our information security analyst. Just a bit of an overview of the day. We're going to start with a discussion with David, talking about Notion's partnership with LeftBrain. Charlie will then explain our Notion journey here at LeftBrain, from being an early adopter of the platform through to becoming the first official Notion partner in EMEA earlier this year. We'll talk about how we've utilized Notion for our ISO 27001 and ISO 9001 certifications, and how we've completely streamlined our business and our workflows. And finally, we'll talk about the Notion services and the bespoke automations and integrations that we offer to clients. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the event, and I'll be back at the end to host a Q&A. So without further ado, over to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Bethia. So firstly, a quick bit of context. So we are LeftBrain. So we provide startups, scale-ups and creative teams with secure, high-performing, easy-to-use internal technology. We basically provide an end-to-end solution from high-level technical and security and information architecture, all the way through to deploying those systems and tools, looking after them and looking after the users that actually use them. So as the title of the webinar suggests, what our mission is as a company is to make internal technology our client's strategic advantage. And what we're going to be doing today is diving into how we think Notion helps us achieve that. So recently, LeftBrain, we became the first and are currently still the only partner with Notion in the UK. And to celebrate this and kick this off, we had a brilliant event in London a couple of months ago with some lovely talks, and also culminated in an AI-generated cocktail party on the rooftop, where there was lots of funky robot dancing and some nice tasting cocktails. So now that those kind of AI-generated hangovers have finally washed away, we wanted to host this webinar to follow up from that and basically take a deeper dive into why we became partners of Notion and why we're so happy to be looking and offering these services. So going to start with getting David to just talk a little bit about Notion and about the partnership. David.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Bethia, Dustin, Alan, and Lucas, and everyone else at LeftBrain for having me on this webinar. As you know, but maybe some of our listeners don't, Notion is the connected workspace powered by AI. And we are on a mission to make software toolmaking ubiquitous. But what does that mean? So let's put it into a little bit of context. Yesterday, Notion and the Harvard Business Review Analytics Services, we released a report where we explore how companies are managing their most valuable asset, knowledge. And the conclusion is clear, and that is that the future is being won by companies who create value from their knowledge. And some of the numbers from this survey is really telling. 97% of respondents to the survey recognizes the importance of organizational knowledge, but only 44% believe that they are doing it well. So that's less than half. And 73% cite siloed information as their primary hurdle. And we all know how it feels when you can't find what you're looking for. And 88% see AI as a game changer for knowledge management, yet only 3% currently are leveraging it. And we got to change that. And that's where Notion and the connected workspace comes in. And our mission, to give people in organizations the ability to build the tools they need to get the work done, and not let the tools that exist today dictate how they work. So Notion, we offer easy-to-use wiki, docs and meeting notes, databases, project management, and of course, it's all powered by AI, right where you do your work. So there's no need to context switch to a different app and copy and paste back and forth. And when our customers ask the new Notion AI something, they get answers straight from their knowledge hub. And that's when which comes alive in Notion. but everyone doesn't really wake up in the morning and want to build something, right, Charlie? That's where partnerships come in, and LeftBrain specifically. And LeftBrain's prowess and expertise in connecting tools together is extraordinary. And since we started this partnership, I've continuously been impressed with how you are utilizing Notion internally at LeftBrain, but also how you can solve customers' needs for integrations, accelerated launches, or bespoke solutions. For example, like the ISO piece that we are exploring a little bit more today. So that's it.
Great, thanks, David. So I'm going to take you on a brief journey at the moment. So as I said before, what we do at LeftBrain is we look after internal technology. So what that involves is can often be a lot of documentation. So back in about 2018, we looked at our systems and all the information we were needing to gather and share amongst our hybrids team that were working in different countries around the world. And we said, we need a really good way of displaying and organizing that information so people can actually, get some value out of it. So we went to market and we went to look for something that would provide this sort of wiki service that we're after. So Alan here was quite important in procuring Notion. So do you want to tell us about the search and what stood out about Notion?
Yeah, I mean, Notion just became an obvious candidate for us. We had a very kind of static web page for our wiki and lots of links to other pages. So when we saw the power of Notion and back in 2018, wiki was a very kind of new term for the tool. And so, once we tried it out, we realized that we were kind of able to collect all of our information together in one place and really kind of share that across the team with ease. So it became a top contender straight away.
Great, thanks, Alan. So here we are in the story then. So we procured Notion, we started to use it in LeftBrain, and we're using it as this term we've said, wiki. And it really was that kind of, became that central place, and life was good for a period of time. But then something else started to happen. There started to be little pockets of the business who started to use it in surprising ways that we hadn't even imagined it would be useful. So one person who was championing this kind of new way of using Notion was Dustin, who was looking after the projects at the time. So Dustin, do you want to tell us about the use you found?
Yeah, pleasure. So at the time, obviously, we were adopting the tool. We were using it for documentation, centralizing all our knowledge into one place. And at the time, it was when I started doing the projects and obviously looking at a lot of different tools and a lot of different platforms to do this for us. The problem I ran into is that obviously they're expensive. They were inelastic in terms of the processes and the way you move projects along. And another piece to that is if you want visibility for anyone to see how far a project is, they have to then have a license to view that project, to contribute to it, and so on and so forth. So playing with Notion, I mean, obviously, as we're technologists at heart, I think it's quite simple for us to start exploring all these new frontiers. And part of that was the databasing and having statuses and creating different views, right? So like a Kanban board, you have not started, in progress, complete, and then obviously as time goes on, it evolves. But having a project's workflow within Notion where all our data exists already about our clients, about their processes, about what they have, the technologies they're using, all this information is readily available in one place. And again, with the whole company being adopted into Notion, it was very easy for anyone to go and have a look and see, oh, cool, how far is this project for this client, and contribute any comments and obviously track that along the way. So in the very beginning, it was extremely important and extremely helpful to have a platform that we could build to what we needed, right, rather than relying on project management tools that kind of had these rails, right. And then as time goes on, the cannibalization of these different tools would start to happen, and we would get rid of all these SaaS applications that we had in place to kind of fill different gaps in different parts of the business. So there was also a large consolidation of these tools, which means we freed up a lot of costs and streamlined the business and the knowledge that we had. And then AI comes along and it's quick and easy to just ask like, hey, how far is this project for this client? And it's just like, it gives you a little summary, it gives you all the links. And you know, you have that in your pocket. You're going into a meeting and 5 minutes later you have it and you can go in confidently and just be like, yeah, it's fine. Charlie's on it. Lucas has done this. It's 90% done. This is the meeting that's been had recently. So for us, it's been a no-brainer, right? And obviously, as more features come out, it's become even more powerful and even more feature-rich. So for me, it's still the go-to project management platform. And that's kind of the story of projects. And right now, it's at a stage where it's company-wide. Everyone's using it. Everyone has tasks that are related to their projects. So 100% winner.
Great. Thanks, Dustin. So great. So here we are. We've got pockets of it being used, and so what I've deliberately done is I've thrown the word wiki in a few more times than I needed to, because we got to this point in the organization where it was being used in these pockets, and there was a big event happened. Right, we needed to get not one but 2 ISO certifications. 27001, which is information security, and 9001, which is quality management. So if anyone doesn't know what an ISO certification is, it's essentially a very big, complex, in-depth, and wonderful when it's implemented management system for things like security and for quality. And obviously what that entails is huge amounts of documentation. But what we didn't want to do, you know, we have a kind of an agile, techie, flexible remote team. We didn't want to just create static documentation in folders, folder, document, and all that stuff. So we wanted to create a real living documentation that would actually not just tick a box, not just kind of help us pass an audit. We wanted it to actually bring real value into the business, because when you do fully integrate those standards into your business, they do bring enormous value. So it started to click. We realized that Notion was the tool to do that. And by this time, getting back to the wiki bit, by this time we realized Notion wasn't just a wiki. Notion is a lot more. We've seen all these uses and the way it can integrate across it. To call it a wiki is kind of selling it short. So we realized we could build systems inside Notion to not just show information, but to track quality, to integrate with other tools, and to do a whole host of things. So one person who was instrumental in building these systems was Lucas. Lucas, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. So I had actually inherited Notion. I came into it after these guys had already started using it, and I had never seen it before. And if you've heard Notion talk at all, you kind of hear that they talk about 2 types of users. You've got like the people who just want to use it and just have it work, and then the people who want to build and to make, you know, really cool things with it. And I would definitely classify myself as a builder now, but I didn't know it quite at the time. So yeah, so like Charlie and everyone else has been saying, you know, everyone was using Notion well, but they had their own team spaces where they were sort of documenting their own things. People had their own sets of tasks and documents and things that were floating around, and it was my job to sort of bring them all together for what's, you know, normally a really tricky certification process. You know, traditionally it's done in ways that don't really, you know, work seamlessly, and it's still, you know, a lot of people scrambling to try to find the right kind of information. So I'm gonna show you how we do this actually internally at LeftBrain using Notion. So I'm gonna share my screen, and what you should be able to see here is this is our database for the ISO 27001 standard. It's broken down into a couple few properties here. If you're not familiar with these kind of certification processes, usually it's broken down into a set of requirements. So you have, you know, 4.1 would be understanding the organization and its context, and you need to, you know, prove that you as a business are doing that. So with Notion, you know, we can track how well we're doing at that, you know, for obviously for us, we're all well performing. But you know, statistically, this is done always in like an Excel sheet, right? Like it's like 100% of the time this is done in an Excel sheet. And what happens is you get a lot of dead kind of static data that always has to be checked and manually updated. So I wanted to kind of show why Notion was better than a traditional Excel sheet in this sense. So yeah, like I said, we have this clause right here, but this isn't just, this isn't just a number. This is actually a page that can have the full information of taken from the standard and put into this page, and it can be formatted, sort of however you like. And then we get to this column right here. So this is actually a link to a different database that holds our internal documentation. Normally, this would just be a field that says, context of the organization document fulfills this requirement. And then you have to go, okay, well, where is that? Do I have that shared with me? Am I in the right SharePoint or Google Drive folder for that? Where do I find it? Is this the current one? Is this the old one? Right? Whereas here, this is not actually just a bit of text. This is a link to the actual document itself. And so just by, 2 clicks, it's right there. And you can record all of this other metadata for it that you wouldn't, again, be able to do for like a static file existing somewhere else. So this is all custom things that we've added in here that are requirements, again, of the ISO standard. So it's, it's really down to exactly what you need it to be, and you can build it to be exactly what you need it to be. We even have, like, Notion has its own internal automations with things like buttons. So if this document wasn't approved, I could click that button right there and it would set that I'm the approver of this document, and it sets some, validity periods and things like that I've set up. It's really cool. Let me just get rid of that because I didn't actually approve that document. And then, one last thing that I'd really like to show that is sort of new into Notion is how they can use charts and things like that too. So these performance columns here, just again, as an example, I'll set some of these as maybe some different performances. But we can see that it's not, again, just dead. You can compile this into this really nice looking chart to show, how well you are at performing in those certain things as you're going through the process. So, this is only one of many views of the chart. You can really customize them. But again, you would never be able to do this with an Excel sheet. So that's why we use Notion for ISO. And this is, just a little bit of a taste of what that looks like.
Great. Thanks very much, Lucas. So we did it. We implemented those standards. We got the certifications on the wall, but most importantly, we had systems that actually were bringing us real value, that actually we were excited to go and look at. One of the things that I love about everything that Lucas did when he was building these systems is his attention to detail with how it looks. And that's a really crucial thing, I think. When you open something and you've got the wonderful icons and everything is laid out in a really sort of easy to view, beautiful way, it makes people actually want to go in and interact with the system. So yeah, so thank you very much, Lucas. Right, so that's where we are in our story. We have fully integrated Notion throughout our entire business. We've done quality management in it, information security, we've got some big certifications, and we realized that we didn't want to just stop there. And that's when it sort of clicked. Right, what we do is we do internal technology, and our mission as a company is that tech shouldn't just be a set of tools. We wanted it to be a strategic advantage. And if technology is the moving and the surfacing of information, we wanted to go even deeper. So to help our clients with their use and utilization of information to make it their strategic advantage too. So Notion helped us get there ourselves. Our business was more efficient. Quality of our services was improved. Our information backbone is not just a jumbled mess of folders and documents, but it's a lean, highly customized tool that's instrumental in our actual ability as an organization to grow. So we wanted to do that for others. So we actually went and we pursued Notion for a partnership. So a lot of the times we have people, wanting to partner with us, but with Notion, we went out and we were so passionate about it that we really sought them out to get that partnership. So David, do you want to talk about how that started?
Absolutely. Yeah, we started a partner pilot in EMEA earlier this year because we learned a lot and we saw that this was something that we needed as we were growing and we had more companies coming into Notion. And I see partnerships helping with the problem that we as Notion see in the world, and that is that there's approximately 1 billion knowledge workers in total in the world. but there's only 25 million developers. And as I said earlier, like everyone doesn't wake up in the morning wanting to build a workflow. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a workflow that needs fixing or knowledge that they need to get quick access to, or to move their business forward or to hit their objectives for the day or for the month or for the year. So when LeftBrain approaches us earlier, we looked at like, how did you use Notion internally? What was your kind of business focused on? And after that, and having those discussions with Dustin and Alan, we really saw that LeftBrain are able to help companies bridge the gap that we see is between those knowledge workers and those developers. So you have that exquisite knowledge of Notion. As Lucas said, you're builders and makers in Notion. You were open going on that journey with us, because this is early stages for us as well, and deliver that, as we call it, kind and direct feedback of what works and what doesn't. And I truly believe in a partnership where organizations like LeftBrain have a clear focus on what they think is best for their customers, which is the same for us. And LeftBrain's move now from kind of like a traditional MSP towards a more holistic business consultancy, I believe, is also at precisely the right time. And for the future, I see kind of more collaboration and capabilities added to the service offering that we will talk about a bit later. For example, accelerated launch packages for organizations just starting out with Notion, or workspace refreshes where companies that have grown and they need help reorganizing their knowledge hub, or migrations from other platforms, which we see as a very big topic and that we hear from our customers, as well as bespoke solutions or integrations to other tools. So, but what I truly believe as well is the most important part is that human side of technology. I mean, at the end of the day, we are all humans that are going to be using this. And that's where I see LeftBrain really being well positioned to help with the change management piece that is absolutely key to make this successful as well. So that's my little spiel.
Great. Thank you, David. Great. So looking forward then, we have off the back of our partnership and from looking at how we've used it and how it's helped us as an organization, we've developed some services that we can start to offer our clients. So Dustin, do you want to tell us a bit about those services?
For sure, yeah. So obviously with the history of where we came from using Notion very early, I think we've been through the phase of it being unstructured and everything being everywhere, because everyone was adopting it at their own rate within the company, building their own little team spaces, building their own little products, building their workflows, and kind of the best thing that suits them. And as time has gone on, we've restructured, we've reformed, we've improved, and obviously now it's a mature platform that kind of works, right? There's an operating system for the whole business, and everyone still has their own team space that they control, they manage, and look after. So with that experience and talking to Notion and kind of what they're looking for, I think obviously businesses that are coming into this as a platform to be used, it's not, as we touched on earlier, it's not traditionally made on Rails where it's made for you and you have to plug in your data to conform to the platform. It's the other way around, right? It's that Lego where you want to build a working little city or whatever it is to suit you. And those are services that we're now providing, right? So accelerated launch is where we come in and we consult with the decision makers, the right people to get workspaces working for a client, and obviously the core operating system of that business. And we create those frameworks for clients to kind of hit the ground running, right? With gradual adoption within the business and slowly, gradually improving as time goes on. So that's one piece with new clients that are new to the platform and want to move into it. There's also the reform, which is a journey that we've been on ourselves to come in and have a look and consult on better ways and maybe restructure the workplace. And then the really fun and exciting stuff, not that any of that isn't, is the custom integrations and automation, right? It's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially, because of the developer platform that Notion provides with their API, allows for any other platform with an API to work together with Notion, right? So if you have data in somewhere else and you're obviously going to use that platform, this is not going to cannibalize everything, but you can link different tools into it. So you can gather your data in one place rather than have to rely on, oh yeah, it's there, I need to go there and find it. So, and then obviously the automation pieces, so you don't have to manually do stuff, right? So on that note, Alan and Lucas have a demo. We obviously build things for ourselves, and I think that's probably the only thing we can show because we can't show clients, but clients cool tools, but we can show some of ours, right? And kind of show you a brief example of an automation that we've built internally.
Right. So yeah, so we wanted to show you guys something that was not just like, you can get an automation to run anything and present some kind of like useless data and whatever. We wanted to sort of solve a real world problem. So we wanted to see how we could even find a problem within LeftBrain and solve that using an automation that uses Notion hand in hand. So Alan, do you want to talk a little bit on what that problem is and how we're looking to solve it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think we can safely say that we've all been there. Meetings tend to take up a lot of time. And if you're in a long meeting, and that meeting maybe has been transcribed and video recorded so everyone can watch it back, that also takes time. And so what we looked at is when you've got all these meetings going on and everyone reviewing the same meeting content to find information that's specific to them, there's an exponential rise in time spent throughout business hours on meetings. So we set out to reduce the amount of time we spend reviewing these meetings.
Yeah, and so the obvious choice for us at LeftBrain is to use Notion, but it doesn't have any capabilities built into to read Google Meet. So we needed to create an automation to be able to do this. So what else makes Notion unique, or what do you think makes the Notion unique as a solution for this, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, for this, I sort of looked at what data we had with the meeting information and realized that we have to convert this into database of records, and Notion's databasing features and the ability to customize, as you've shown already, Lucas, just became an obvious choice. We've got all of our users integrated in Notion, so we can kind of use those databases to show each user information that's relevant to them. And remove any kind of fluff that might be different departments, and really kind of customize the data.
Great. So we're going to share how we went about doing this and sort of what it actually looks like in Notion again. So I've got a page here, and it consists of 3 separate databases. One is meetings, one is external attendees, and one is tasks. We sort of chose these things internally as what we would want to record. And you can see that there are some properties here as well. But again, this is all custom built. You can completely decide on what things that you do want to keep track of and what you don't. So yeah, these are the ones that we agreed on. And then Alan is going to take us through what it would look like as soon as a meeting ends in Google Meet.
Yeah, thanks, Lucas. So there is some magic going on behind the scenes. We've got a system set up that's watching our calendar and waiting for a meeting to end. And once that meeting ends, there'll be a file attached to the meeting, a transcription created by Google. And what we do is the backend system is now going to go and grab that transcription. We're going to pass that to ChatGPT, and it's going to analyze all of the conversation, and it's going to pull out a summary, and it's going to pull out who was in the meeting. It's going to grab us some tasks and assign all of that information real time to each of the data points in Notion. And so this now allows us to filter. An individual user can see only the meetings that they were part of, or they can see all of the tasks that have been assigned to them. And we're now using Notion features here to with the host and internal attendee properties there. Not only are they assigned to that user so they can easily get to that information, but they've all just received a notification to say, hey, that there's a record now here. And you just click that, go straight through, and get to that data pretty much instantly once the meeting's over.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that this works is the transcript is passed into ChatGPT, which then you give it like a prompt to give it a certain type of output, use then an API to read that output and then send that into Notion's API to populate all of the fields and to link everything as well. So, you know, these tasks down here are actually linked back to that original meeting. And it's you can click on this page to get back to that page. So it's, and same with the external attendees.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, right. And you know, we also talked about that from here on, you know, these are AI generated titles for these tasks, but hopefully it would be enough for you to say, oh yeah, prepare a comprehensive report for testing the results. You can add in, you can go into that page and keep adding things like, you know, prepare report, contact, client. It's you can keep going with it, right? It's just meant to be like this really quick thing. If you were to fill in all of these fields manually, you know, again, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to do all of what has just happened in a matter of seconds. And that's just after the meeting ends, it populates all of this. So this was our kind of problem that we're trying to solve. You know, there's still probably a few kinks to iron out, but you can see the power of what this type of an automation could do. Alan, can you give us some of the other ways that we could possibly automate things for clients or businesses?
Yeah, I mean, kind of Dustin touched on it earlier as well. Like if there's an API, we can more or less connect that information, you know, using the tools that we work with in the back end of things. But we've had consultations with clients on CRM systems, HR platforms, and even digital asset managements, just to kind of name a few. And you could even maybe create a similar sort of automation to this using something like Gmail and email data. You could pull in your emails and have them summarized and pull out key information. So the list kind of goes on there. But I think the real power comes from getting data from its source into Notion, and then the flexible interfaces that Notion allows you to build to customize that data in a way that's digestible by yourself or your team. I think that's definitely where the power comes.
Great, thanks. That's us.
Great. Thank you both. Great to see that automation happen just like that. Great. So that's kind of a demo of just one of the many things that can be done. I love what Dustin said about the Lego blocks, and that really, you know, your systems and your services are kind of pieces of Lego. And so what the automation piece does is it, you know, takes all those pieces and puts them together to make the castle. And Notion obviously being the backbone of how we use and utilize information in the business is the the best point to then pop that information or to utilize that information. So what we've seen is real value come from that. So because of these things, as a business, we're able to function more efficiently. We're able to save time going through and doing things manually, such as meetings. So yeah, generally speaking, I think what Alan said, if there's an API, chances are it can be automated. What's in your head, chances are it can be made just by popping those bits of Lego together. Cool. So thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to pass back to Bethia now for the Q&A.
Brilliant. Thanks for that. Yeah, feel free to ask questions, and I can see them pop up here. So we've got a question here. Do you have any tips for remote teams wanting to use Notion? It's hard when everyone has their own ways of working. Maybe Lucas, maybe you could answer that one for us. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I think it has to do with starting to use Notion for something and getting everyone to use it that way. I know that when I started using it, because we're all remote working, it was like there were bits of it that were used, and then I was using sort of other tools for other things, like even like just writing notes and stuff. And then as I got more familiar with the platform and as I was able to use it more, I then started writing my notes in Notion, because then I could really easily share it instead of having to like upload it to like a Google Doc or something like that. It's like, oh, I'm already in this workspace with this person. I can just just literally click and drag and put it into that same space, and then we can share it and work on it together. Like it's super collaborative and easier to do that way. And like I said, it's easier than doing it in separate tools and trying to bring it into one place. You can just start in the one place and not have to go anywhere else.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
just to add to that, I think one important thing to do at the beginning is to make it useful. When you use it properly, it will save you time. For me, first thing I do in my morning, I open Notion, and I have the information displayed exactly how I need it to be to start my day. And because Notion is such an important part of our day, we use it because it really does actually help us.
I have
Dustin?
one small piece to add.
Yeah.
Is obviously not everyone is a builder, and you're not required to build your platform. So obviously, if it's built properly, you know, everyone wants to use it. Once it's built properly, it's a very collaborative place to be if you have systems in place for certain teams, right? So I think that's a good start, is get a good structure.
Great, thanks. We've got another question here. What's the best place to gather information to start learning Notion in a more proactive way? Are there tutorials and guides? I mean, Lucas, you started from scratch. What was your process of learning like?
So I was very luckily given lots of time with it, which was a lot of, testing things, seeing if they worked, getting people's help who, already used it. But no, there's extensive tutorials online. Notion has some really great like in-house tutorials on how to use their platform. But the vast majority of these things, there's tons of content creators out there, whether it's just with a quick Google search and like, a blog post or something on how to do something. You can look up, there's also lots of templates to start from. So, Notion's it has built in, it's on the sidebar. You can go in a template, and sometimes that would be the place I would start. I'd start from a template, and then I go, ooh, I want to change this little bit here. I want to kind of start moving some things around. So yeah, you don't have to start from scratch. It can be a little bit intimidating when you click new page and it's just blank, nothing white. But yeah, have a bit of a play with it, see what you like. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, but that's where Notion shines, because you can have views of everything, and people can kind of customize that and link it all. Or you can just start with a template and be like, I like this. This is good. I'll stick with it. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So just to add to that, the reason why kind of Lucas had that so much time at the beginning is because my kind of philosophy and what we do when we get new starters in the business now is I sit them down in front of Notion, and for me, every hour someone spends sitting in front of Notion, playing and working it out, and just sort of having fun with the platform, we reap 10, 20, 50 folds in the future, because the efficiency of using the platform and knowing how it works brings us huge rewards. So I think for me, people should be given that chance to play, and then from there, your knowledge quickly ramps up.
Thank you, Charlie and Lucas. Another question, probably for Alan. Can you highlight any key and perhaps unobvious pitfalls? So, for example, surprising limitations that required extensive external integration. Any thoughts on that one, Alan?
I suppose if we're talking about specifics for LeftBrain, obviously we have our platform that's just going live this week to clients, and so we had a lot of data that was in Notion that we wanted to get out and potentially back in again. So we did actually have to write a lot of GraphQL queries to get data out into the platform, and then a lot of API calls to get that information back in. Hopefully that helps answer the question there. But really, I suppose it comes down to the specific needs of the situation, right? Once we've had some time to consult on a problem with a client, we can kind of work with them to figure out their systems and then devise a plan in order to get it through as efficient as possible.
Brilliant, thank you. And then a final question here. unless any more come through. It seems like a broad adoption of Notion is really key in driving the benefits. How did you drive adoption within LeftBrain? Dustin, is that something you can answer? Or maybe hop over to Charlie. Yeah, how did we drive the adoption of Notion internally?
Yeah, so yeah, it's a very good point. And with any kind of company initiative, and obviously I come from a information security perspective. The first thing we do when driving a security initiative in a company, driving something like ISO, is that it has to come from the top. So it's vital to get buy-in from the organization and from the leadership within the organization. And when the leadership get excited about it and they see the possibilities, then that will filter down through the organization. So I think it's working with the kind of the organizational corporate governance of the organization to really push that message down. And then I think once that's done, once people are sort of, being told and, that how useful Notion could be, then I think people see it. People see the benefits. I see the benefits and feel the benefits every single day. So now, if I was to do anything, I wouldn't. If I could do it in Notion, I would be doing it in Notion, and we'll be sharing and we'll be interacting there. So it's kind of like once the flame gets lit, we've seen it in LeftBrain really take off because our ability to collaborate, our ability to deliver our services has greatly increased. So we're naturally wanting to get in there and utilize it wherever possible.
Brilliant. Thank you. Another question, which is a little similar. What was LeftBrain's process of building capability and rolling out Notion across the organization? Would you say you've answered that, or is there anything else you would recommend? Yeah,
I would say I would kind of reiterate my previous point, where what I found as a director of one of the directors of LeftBrain, I've seen the benefits it brings. So it's a big benefit to our business to build that capability and to give people time. Obviously, sometimes that can be hard with people being very busy. But what we've done in LeftBrain is we've really carved out time. We've also kind of built in a governance process for Notion and our systems. So if people want to make changes or to build new systems, we send a request. Often Lucas is the one who builds or does the changes, but we have that system in the organization. So the capability comes from, remember, we've got the builders and we've got the doers. Not everyone has to be a builder. Not everyone in our organization is a builder. We've got, our primary people, most of which are on this call. So we have a process where those people build it, and we have our kind of receivers and our viewers. And so, yeah, I think that helps in terms of building capability. Not everyone needs to do what Alan just did, click a button and automate everything. It can be, done like that.
Thank you. Lucas, you've got your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, just something quick to add to that. And Charlie, said 90% of it. But it would be finding who is the builder and who is the user. Because if you can find the person in your organization who is willing and eager to do those kinds of things, if you give them a little bit of time, they can make something amazing that works for you, right? And they already know how everything works internally, and can be sort of a champion for Notion and be sort of an owner of it. And when you give people that freedom to be able to shape the way that things do that, I love it. I love being able to look at that and be like, yeah, I made most of those systems. I feel really proud in that, but it's also because it works so well. So yeah, I would say definitely try to find in your organization who those people are who enjoy doing that kind of thing, because they might surprise you and they might make something amazing. Yeah.
Another thing we've done internally as well is we've done micro training recorded sessions where we'll do a 5-minute training session recorded of showing through, this is the system to add new security information into a client when they sign up. And it's a quick demo, live demo. It's, succinct, it's within 5 minutes. And we've got a database in Notion of our training where people using another Notion system we've built for our training and building our skills in our team. They click that they've done the training and it assigns them points, and we have a leaderboard, it also built in Notion, of course, which shows the amounts of points people have accrued from watching our internal training and doing other training courses. So you can gamify it a little bit as well, like that.
Brilliant, thank you. Another question here. Are there any business areas you explored in Notion but didn't peruse? I guess that means, spend more time looking into, perhaps. Things like project management seem like an obvious one, but how about L&D, HR, or CRM? Does anyone? Dustin, go for it.
Yeah. Hey, Phil. So yeah, we obviously use it for project management. We also use it for surprisingly CRM. However, obviously what you want CRM to do is email, right? And that's a function that Notion doesn't have, and we don't know if they're going to add it. They always add new features and functions. But the HR platform, we use Charlie HR. It's a great platform. It does everything we need. Having something like that that is on Rails is probably a good thing, but you could probably build it if you wanted to within Notion. All the databasing is there, maybe an integration into calendars, so it shows people's times off that they've selected in that HR platform, maybe even a function that can determine how much time they do get off in a year, right? Whether it's in public holidays and so on. So it is possible. We haven't pursued it ourselves for HR because we like our HR platform and it's easy, accessible, and it's lovely. But if you wanted to, you could take those tools internally. But learning and development, like that platform is within, and we've gamified it. Our engineers will get different points based on certain things that they do. There's progress bars, there's all sorts. So there's not much, but there are things that we've chosen as a business to keep externally based on either traditional tooling, what it does, and maybe the time it would take to actually make it applicable, and kind of the time to do versus what already exists as an HR platform is probably not worth it, because we've already, we've been integrated into that HR platform for a long time. So I think if let's say, for example, you're a new business and you don't have an HR platform, it's probably worth it, right? Because you can build it to spec, and obviously LeftBrain can help with all these things, right? Along with any other kind of tooling or development within Notion. So not much can't be done. The only limitation is email, and for CRM, I think that's really important. If you have a team of people that need to be able to interact with your clientele and have visibility of all that communication. So yes, there are some limitations for sure, and then there's some decisions you just have to make, whether you need to invest that time into building it or exploring Notion for that. But a lot's possible.
Brilliant. Okay, I think that draws us to the end of our webinar. Before I bid you all farewell, a few notes. Save the date, Wednesday, the 4th of December, 2024. We've got another webinar with Notion all about the new Notion AI. So yeah, we'll be putting that out on our social channels soon. Also, we've been invited to exhibit as the only partner at Make with Notion showcase in London in November, which we're really looking forward to. But just so you all know, the San Francisco Make with Notion event is actually open to live stream. So I've just put the link in the comments now, and you can register for virtual and join in with that on the 24th of October, 2024. But for now, thank you, panelists. Thank you, those who have attended. Thanks to those watching online afterwards. Really enjoyed today's session, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.